Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, and welcome to Together We Shine. The bhavana for this practice is the power to choose. This is something that has been a motivating force for my practice for well over a decade. I was introduced to a quote by Viktor Frankl, who was a survivor of concentration camp during World War II and wrote several beautiful books about the nature of humanity and life. And he has a couple of quotes that I have turned to many times in my own life for inspiration around freedom and what true freedom is, and the freedom that each of us as human beings has access to through our power to choose. So in essence, these quotes are suggesting that we will likely have little to no control over what is happening in our external circumstances. Maybe in our own homes we can control a certain amount, or in our work environment. And sometimes we may try to convince ourselves that we have the capacity to control everything, and we grip and we clench and we struggle and we try to make the world and life fit into some sort of expression that we're comfortable with that gives us a sense of security. Unfortunately, most of that is an illusion. There's very little that we actually can control in the external world, but this is not something that we need to lose heart over, because what we can always control is the impact that it has on us. Maybe not initially, maybe not in the moment that stimulus comes our way, but we can choose how we want to engage, how we want to let it affect us, and then how we in turn want to affect the rest of the world. So before we start the practice, I'm just going to pull up this quote, make sure that I'm representing it accurately. So there are a couple of them. Here's the first. Everything can be taken from a person, but one thing. The last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. Okay? And I would suggest that yoga takes it even further than an attitude. And really, it's a deep choice of what meaning am I assigning to this event, set of circumstances. How am I choosing to interpret it that is going to have a ripple effect for my entire worldview? Okay, so a worldview, for example, that either life is happening to us and we are powerless, helpless victims of life and its many challenging circumstances, or life, with all of its challenges and all of its blessings and all of its many lessons, is actually happening for us, for our soul's benefit, to be able to learn and grow and grapple and liberate ourselves so that we can move forward toward those sort of ultimate aims of absolute freedom, which this is getting us toward, and everlasting fulfillment, the kind of fulfillment that once we become established in it, it never goes away. So that's the first of these Viktor Frankl quotes, and coming from a man that survived a concentration camp, I think he speaks from an area of personal expertise on the power of will to choose how circumstances, but beyond one's control, are going to be able to influence you as an individual. So the other one, and this one feels a little bit more technical in terms of, okay, so how do we do this? Between stimulus and response. So between the information that is coming in and how we are going to respond, there's a space. And yoga practice makes that space bigger. Our yoga practice allows us to, in some strange but undeniable way, stretch time so that where something may feel like it's just coming at you rapid fire, it's a little bit like, if you've seen The Matrix, the first one, where Neo is just really starting to get a handle on his powers, and Mr. Smith and the other agents are shooting at him, and the whole world seems to go into slow motion, and he starts doing this like dancing maneuver where he's dodging the bullets as they're coming at him and dancing with this danger rather than being shot. This is the space, and then yoga allows us to slow down time and expand the space between stimulus and response. And in that space is our power to choose. So when there isn't space there, or where we're not cognizant of the fact that there is a space in which we can choose, we tend to resort to reactivity. When we are in victim mentality, the world is just so hard, it's just happening to me, I am a victim, everything is wrong with the world, then we just are in reactivity the vast majority of the time, coming from a place of fear or anger or grief or whatever it happens to be. When we can recognize that there is a space in which we can choose, now it's not reactivity, now it's response. How am I choosing to respond to these circumstances? So in that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. How is that landing so far? Do you resonate as, yeah, I think that's true? Yeah? Good. Good. So our goal for tonight's practice, exactly what you needed. Good. Yeah. Me too. Me too. Tonight's practice is an opportunity for us to try to create a little bit more expansion of that space, to watch as life is coming, and then also to observe how we are choosing, either consciously or unconsciously, to engage with it. And it can be very helpful, and I would strongly encourage that you do a little bit of reflection every day on who you really want to be. Who do you really want to be in the world? What do you want to stand for? In some cases, what do you want to stand against? Although sometimes if you're too rooted in what you're standing against, that can turn into a source of negativity. Whereas if you're orienting toward what you choose to stand for, that tends to be pretty consistently a positive. So who do you really want to be? What do you stand for? And then how can you align your choices with that greater intention? When we're kind of directionless and we don't really know who we are or who we want to be or what's important to us, what we stand for, it's difficult to know what to choose. And so rather than puzzling it out every time, we just give up and make the lazier choice, which is not to choose, but instead to rely on our sort of base instinct and reactivity. So when we talk about living consciously, I would suggest that this is it in practical terms. Know who you are, know who you want to be, how you want to show up in the world, and the influence that you want to have. And then regardless of what is coming at you, choose accordingly. Choose in alignment with who you believe yourself to be and who you are determined to be, how you are determined to show up in the world. Does that make sense? Simple, not easy, as with most good things. Alrighty, so in terms of technique, we will keep it relatively simple on the asana level so that we can focus more on what's happening for us in terms of stimulus and response, and then the choice in that space. And we will play a little bit with the breath, both during the physical portion of the practice and then during pranayama. And most of the time, we just stay with samavriti, healthy breathing. But for today, I'm going to encourage you to bring some attention to the pause, the space or the gap between the breaths. So rather than a continuous breath where we're letting the inhale bleed directly into the exhale and so on and so forth, for today, we'll cultivate inhale, conscious pause, exhale, conscious pause. And I'm not going to count it because I don't want it to become a goal that you do the correct count. Instead, I want the intention to be awareness, consciousness, spaciousness, and then move on to the next breath. Does that make sense as well? Okay, excellent. Aside from that, during meditation, I'll give you the invitation to bring your awareness to a sound that is the sound of Om, but not the word of Om. So let go of the word Om, and instead I'll invite you to bring your awareness more to the part of that Om sound. So it's like a buzz or a hum that's emanating from somewhere around the top of the head, and then filling the head and eventually the entire pranic field with a quality known as pranava, which is this freshness and this renewal that again kind of washes away the residue of stimulus from the past so that we can be fresh and new and choose more according to our present as opposed to influences coming through from our past. That's enough talking. Let's get on to our mats. Go ahead and start on your hands and knees. It's a tiny cat house. It's no cat. Alrighty. So on your hands and knees, give yourself a moment just to wiggle, fidget, adjust in any way that you'd like. Feel into what the body is wanting and needing in the moment. And for now, even the breath is whatever you're needing it to be. So maybe you need to take a couple of very full, deep breaths in, potentially an open mouth exhale, or a slow exhale through the nose. So this freedom to feel into what is needed for you for about a minute more. And as you're moving freely, check in with yourself in regards to the day and the stimulus that has been presented to you. It might still be morning for you, so maybe you're processing stimulus from yesterday. Maybe it's been a full day already and you're starting to turn towards sleep. Was there anything that your mind feels like it is stuck on? Any way that you maybe reacted that didn't exactly fit who you want to be? The highest expression of yourself. And then come back to some stillness on the hands and knees. Find something neutral and take a moment just to breathe. We're going to move into cow and cat now. The first few rounds, samavritti, 4 counts in, 4 counts out. Begin when you're ready. Stay with samavritti, but begin to bring your attention to that moment of transition from inhale to exhale, and the transition from exhale to inhale. Now allow for a little space in that moment of transition. Both at the top of the inhale and at the bottom of the exhale. With the next inhale, come back to neutral. From here, let's set up for gate pose. So we're going to be on the shins. Step the left foot out to the left side and then raise up. On an inhale, let the arms sweep alongside the ears. And on exhale, bring your left hand onto your left knee or thigh and reach the right wrist up and then come over. If it's better for you to bend the elbow or keep the hand someplace else that's more comfortable in the shoulder, feel free to pursue that. And let's move dynamically a few times. Inhale to lift up. Exhale to reach over, creating space through the side body. Inhale to reach up. Exhale, reach over. We'll move dynamically once more. And then we'll stay just for a few breaths. Again, consciousness planted in those little pauses or gaps between the breaths. On the next inhale, lift lightly. Both arms can reach up. And on exhale, let both arms float down. And then walk the hands out in front of you. We'll leave the right hand on the ground. Left leg is extended. Inhale, reach the left arm up for a moment. And on exhale, just reach the left arm through. And we'll do that a few times. Inhale, open up. And exhale to reach through. Inhale, open up. Exhale, reach through. Once more. Stay in the twist now for a moment. Conscious of those moments of transition and maybe a little pause between. Inhale, reach all the way up once more. Exhale, set the hand down. Bring the shin back in. Take a moment to sit in Virasana, so just sitting on the heels, resting the hands on the knees of the thighs. Relax the shoulders, either soften the gaze or close the eyes, and breathe. Relax the belly, regulate the nervous system. One more breath. If the eyes were closed, they can blink open again. Lift back up onto the shins, or first set the right foot out to the right side and then lift up. Whatever works better for you. Inhale, sweep the arms up alongside the ears. Exhale, right hand onto the right thigh or calf or shin. Stretch the left arm up to come over. Moving dynamically again, inhale, reaching up. And exhale, stretching over. Keep going at your own pace, aware of those moments of transition. And the next time you find yourself in the lateral stretch, linger here. And even though it's technically stillness, notice the ways in which the body continues to move, to adapt, to stabilize, to soften, and to allow the experience to grow. One more breath. Inhale, rise gently, both arms will float up. Exhale, let both arms float down. Bring the hands forward. Left hand will stay down. Inhale, reach the right arm up. And exhale, sweep the arm through. Little twist. Inhale, reach the arm up. And exhale, reach through. Continue at your own pace, 2 more times. Attentive to those pauses between the breaths. And then stay in the twist. 4 breaths here. Maybe a brief pause at the top of each inhale and bottom of each exhale. And then when you're ready, inhale, sweep the arm up once more. Exhale, set the hand down. Bring your knee and shin back in, and again, take a seat in Virasana. Just notice. Soften the belly, and see if for now you can return to healthy breathing. And eliminate the pause or the gap between the breaths. Let the eyes blink open if they were closed. Come back onto the hands and knees. We'll start to move to downward facing dog. Tuck the toes, take an inhale here. And on exhale, float the hips up and back, looking for extension in the spine. Inhale, let the knees lower back down. They'll very lightly make contact with the mat. And on exhale again, float up and back. Let's do that 3 more times. And again, invite a brief pause or hesitation between the breaths. A moment when it feels as though time itself stands still. And the next time you find yourself in downward facing dog, take a moment to just give your body what it wants and needs, which is going to require that you become somewhat curious about what that might be. Pay attention, and then choose wisely. Another couple of breaths to just play before we move into some stillness. So find a downward facing dog that you can release into and enjoy 4 very intentional breaths. You have 3 more breaths. What will you do with them? On the next inhale, lift the heels, soften the knees, bring the gaze between the hands. And on exhale, step lightly to the top of the mat. Feet about hip distance, roughly parallel to one another. Try to bring the weight over the central arch of the foot, so not too far into the heels or too far forward into the toes. Hands either on the mat, ankles, shins, or the tops of the thighs. Inhale, lift about halfway. On the next exhale, bend the right knee deeply, sinking into the hip as you lower. Inhale, straighten the right knee, lift halfway. Exhale, bend the left knee and fold. Let's do that a few more times. Inhale, lifting halfway, both legs go towards straight. Exhale, right knee bends, sinking into the hip a bit as you fold. Inhale, lift halfway, both legs towards straight. Exhale, bend the left knee and sink into the fold. Once more to each side, your pace. Inhale, lift halfway, both legs straight. Keep both legs relatively straight and exhale once more into a fold. Put a bend into the knees, root down through the feet. On the inhale, bring the arms alongside the ears and then rise to stand, reach for the sky. Exhale, arms lower down by your sides, find Tadasana. And re-steady the breath. Okay, let's move a little bit now. A little bit more, I should say. Inhale, come into Utkatasana chair pose. Exhale, sweep the arms down and back. Inhale, sweep the arms forward to come up. On the exhale, twist to the left. Sweep the left arm down and back, hug the right hip back. Inhale, sweep forward to come up again. Exhale, twist to the right, hug the left hip back. Inhale, forward and up. Exhale, once more, twist to the left. Inhale, sweep the arm forward and up. And exhale, twist to the right. Inhale, forward to come up. Exhale, fold down the middle. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, step back to a plank position. Inhale, rock forward. Exhale, lower the knees, bend the elbows straight back, lifting the tailbone, lower the chest and the chin. Inhale, pull the sternum forward, coming into cobra. Exhale, release, lower the forehead to the ground. Inhale, lift to the hands and the knees. Exhale, child's pose. Linger in child's pose for 3 or 4 breaths. Inhale, back to the hands and the knees, tuck the toes. Exhale to downward facing dog. Inhale, float the right heel straight up and back. Exhale, lunge the right foot through. We're coming into Anjaneyasana. Bend your left knee as well as your right. Hug the inner thighs together. Inhale, rise. Exhale, release back to downward facing dog. Inhale, lift the left heel straight up and back. Exhale, lunge the foot through. Same thing on this side. Inhale, rise. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, lunge the foot through. Inhale, rise. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, lunge the foot through. Inhale, rise. Exhale, down dog. Guide yourself through one more round, so once more to each side. Catch up with yourself in down dog. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space lies our power to choose. Use your breath to expand that space. Inhale, roll toward a plank position. Exhale, again lower knees, chest and chin. Inhale, glide through for cobra. Exhale, release, forehead to the mat. Inhale to hands and knees. Exhale, child's pose, stay and breathe. From here, lift back up onto the shins or the knees and bring the knees out to the outer edges of the mat and then draw the hips back again. Use this as an opportunity to start to stretch into the inner thighs, into the hip flexors a bit more. Maybe warm up the synovial fluid in the hip socket. And then go ahead and walk the hands back. Keep the knees wide, maybe even a little bit wider if that's available. Try to lower the sits bones and lengthen the spine. From here, find Garudasana arms. So right elbow will come on top of the left. Wrap the arms up as much as is available for you. Draw the shoulder blades back and down. Hug the shoulder blades into the back of the rib cage. Pressing the elbows forward, lengthening up through the fingertips. Lengthen through the back of the neck. Keep the spine long. Inhale, lift the fingertips a little bit higher. Exhale, draw the elbows a little further straight down. Inhale, lift a little bit higher. Exhale, draw down. 2 more times. Emphasis on the pauses between the breaths. Inhale, lift the fingertips once more. Hold the breath in for a little bit longer. Let it become even more spacious. Exhale, unravel the arms. Bring the hands behind the back. Interlace the fingers. Roll the shoulders a little bit further back, opening up, wrapping the triceps back. Use the shoulder blades to help press the spine further in toward the sternum. If it's available, either you can bring your knuckles onto your sacrum or maybe down onto the ground behind you. Stabilize and then very gently puff up through the heart space. Keep the back of the neck long and strong. And again, full awareness of the breath and those little spaces between. Coming out of that, at the bottom of exhale, release the back bend, release the arms. Give yourself a moment to adjust. Good. Little twist. Right hand can just come to the inside of the right thigh. Left hand back behind you. Inhale, get a little bit more space in the spine. Exhale, twist, looking over the left shoulder. Inhale, center. Exhale, stay neutral. Right hand behind you. Inhale, get a little bit taller. Exhale, twist, look over the right shoulder. Inhale, come back through to the center. And exhale, neutral. Another breath or two here. Good. Walk the hands out in front. Bring your shins and thighs back to parallel. Tuck the toes. Inhale. Exhale, return to downward facing dog. Give yourself a moment here. Now let's walk the hands back toward the feet. Setting up for Malasana, bring the feet a little bit wider, as wide as works well in your body. Ideally, toes are going to open up a little bit for this variation of Malasana so we can get some external rotation. But before we go there, inhale, draw the collarbones and sternum forward. Exhale, bend the knees pretty deeply, dropping the pelvis between the heels. Keep the spine long. Inhale again, straighten the legs, finding length in the spine, lifting about halfway. Exhale, bend the knees, drop the pelvis between the heels. Let's do that 2 more times. Attentive to the breath and the pauses. Once you find your Malasana, if it's helpful, shift from side to side a couple more times, just to open up and release discomfort, any stickiness. And then find a variation of the posture that you can be in for a minute or possibly 2. Garudasana arms, left elbow crossing over the right this time. Same idea, pull the shoulder blades into the back body. Press the elbows forward, lengthen through the fingertips. So the forearms are still parallel to the spine. Inhale, reach through the fingertips. Exhale, pull the elbows down. Again. Attentive to those pauses or gaps. One more breath. Deep breath in, lift the fingertips, hold at the top, become even more spacious. And exhale, release. Just bring the hands down for now. Inhale, float the hips up. On an exhale, bring the feet back to parallel and fold forward. Soft knees. Bring the hands behind the back. If it's possible to clasp the hands and interlace the fingers, go ahead and do so. Let the arms reach away from the back body. Push down into the feet. Inhale, lift the torso halfway. Exhale, linger. Push the spine a little further into the body. One more breath here. Try to draw the collarbones even further forward. And on exhale, release the hands. Let the hands slide down the backs of the legs, soften back into a forward fold. Inhale, walk the hands to plank. Exhale, lower, knees, chest, chin. Inhale to cobra. Exhale, release. Inhale, hands and knees. Exhale, child's pose. Stay and breathe. Inhale, back to the hands and the knees. Tuck the toes. Exhale to downward facing dog. Inhale, lift the heels, soft knees, gaze between the hands. Exhale, step to the top of the mat. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold. Linger for an extra breath in this forward fold. Put a bend into the knees. Inhale, bring the arms alongside the ears, and then rise powerfully to stand. Exhale, Tadasana. Take a moment. Become so inwardly oriented that it feels as though time stands still. And that space between stimulus and response expands. Remind yourself of who you intend to be. And resolve to choose accordingly. Last little bit of standing, and then we get to sit down for a bit. Feet are going to come wider than hip distance, but not quite as wide as like a warrior two stance, somewhere in the middle. Something stable. Spread the toes, root down through all four corners of the feet, so you just feel connected. Nice and simple. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, bring your right hand to your right hip and stretch the left arm up to come over. So another lateral. Inhale to come back up through the center. Both arms will reach high. On the exhale, forward fold, slide the hands down the backs of the legs. Keep the spine long. Press down through both feet and inhale to lift halfway. The hands will slide up to the backs of the thighs. Exhale, fold down again. With the next inhale, rise all the way up. Reach for the sky. Exhale, left hand to the left hip, stretch the right arm up and over. Inhale, back through to the center, both arms reaching high. Same thing, exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise, reach for the sky. Exhale, right hand to the hip, stretch the left arm over, pause at the bottom of exhale. Then inhale to rise, both arms up. Pause at the top. Exhale, fold, pause briefly at the bottom. Inhale, lift halfway, pause at the top. Exhale, fold, pause at the bottom. I think you're getting the hang of it. Inhale, rise, reach for the sky, pause at the top. Exhale, stretch to the left, pause at the bottom. Inhale, rise, keep going. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise. One more round, self-guided, so you can really take your time. This is your matrix moment. Time slows. To complete this, when you're ready, on exhale, once you're standing, just let the arms come down by the sides. effortless breath. Swivel the feet to the right, setting up for Parsvatanasana, pyramid. We're going to come into Parita Trikonasana, so a revolved triangle. Just place the hands on the sacrum for now. Root down through both feet. Make sure you feel stable. Maybe give the toes a little wiggle. Inhale, get a bit taller. Exhale, hinge forward halfway. Take another inhale to find even more space in the spine. And on exhale, start to rotate the rib cage to the right. Maybe the left hand will come down onto a shin or potentially onto the floor. And for the next 3 or 4 breaths, with each exhale, and particularly in the pause at the bottom of the exhale, invite the twist to develop, whatever that means to you. On the next inhale, release the twist, maybe framing the front foot. Exhale, softly fold over that front leg. Give yourself a moment. Bend into the front knee, hands behind the back again. Inhale, rise. Exhale, feet parallel. Another moment just to feel into the impact. These moments of pause, pausing and noticing, not just today, but every time we practice. This is where the magic happens. This is what allows us to carry our practice with us when we step off of the mat. This attentiveness. Go ahead and swivel the feet the opposite way. Adjust so that you feel stable here. Parsvatanasana, pyramid pose. Hands on the sacrum. Inhale, get a little taller. Exhale, fold halfway. Strong legs, strong spine. Inhale for a little bit more space. Exhale, begin to rotate the rib cage to the left. Maybe your right hand comes onto a shin, maybe to the floor. Continue to develop here effortlessly. About 4 more breaths. Emphasis on that pause at the bottom of the exhale. With the next inhale, release the twist, frame the front foot. Exhale, softly fold over the front leg, and then just be here for a moment. Bend into the left knee, hands behind the sacrum. Inhale, rise. Exhale, feet back to parallel. Arms can release by your sides. And again, notice. Feel that little buffer between your mind and the rest of the world. And by keeping the breath smooth and steady, feel that space, that buffer expand. And the pace at which the world comes at you slows considerably. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a seat. Come into what will look similar to Janu Shirshasana. Right leg will come out to the side though, and we'll draw the left heel in. So this will look and feel somewhat similar to the lateral variation of Janu Shirshasana, but I learned this one from Pamela, and I like it, so we're going to give it a try. Inhale, get a little bit taller. Exhale, twist toward the bent knee. Bring your right hand onto your left knee or thigh. Lift your left arm up. Bend the elbow and reach the hand behind you. So you're either going to cradle the back of the head or reach down between the shoulder blades. Press the back of the head into the arm a bit and then look toward the armpit. From here, start to hinge gently toward your right knee or thigh. Stay with the breath and stay attentive to those pauses. Inhale to release. Exhale, bring the hands onto each knee. Take a moment. Inhale, get a little taller. Exhale, orient now toward the right toes. Hinge forward. And maybe reach the left arm over toward the pinky toe side of the right foot. So a little bit of a forward fold, a little bit of a twist. The right hand can help you rotate the spine slightly to the right, but try to keep the spine long. So that idea of pressing the spine further into the body, not a back bend, but a full extension, rather than letting yourself round. Just one more breath. Good. Inhale, release. Come upright. And then switch the legs. Sit tall. Rotate toward the bent knee. Left hand is going to come onto that right knee or thigh. Stretch the right arm up, find some length, and then bend the elbow and either take a hold of the back of the head or maybe the palm reaches more toward the space between the shoulder blades. Lean the head back a bit. Again, not a back bend, but a spinal extension. And then rotate the sternum to the right as you start to hinge to the left. So it feels a little twisty, but more than anything, it's a very genuine, very true lateral, which we know helps to create a greater sense of expansion and space, not only in the body, but also in the mind. Inhale, sit upright. Exhale, release. Bring the hands down onto each knee. Enjoy a moment or two. Orient now toward your left foot. Inhale, get a little taller. Exhale, hinge forward, maybe reaching the right hand over toward the pinky toe side of the left foot. Left hand can be out to the side to help support extension in the spine and a little bit of a twist to the left side. Inhale, come up again. Exhale, relax. And let's get ready to lie down. We'll bring ourselves back into symmetry on our backs. Take your time getting there, whatever you need. And then find a position flat on the back, but with the feet on the floor, knees bent. Take a moment to notice as your body adjusts. So a few rounds of dynamic bridge to help with integration. Press down through both feet. Inhale, float the pelvis up, sweep the arms up alongside the ears. Press the back of the head into the floor, preserving the curvature of the cervical spine. Exhale, roll back down. Inhale, rise. Pause briefly at the top. Just notice the pause. Exhale, release. Similarly, notice the pause at the bottom of the breath. Two more. And then again, keeping the knees bent for a moment longer, just find something that requires little to no effort to sustain. Drive the thighs in toward the belly. Place the hands on the knees. Take the knees around in some circles, either keeping the knees rolling together or rolling in opposite directions, just depending on what's most needed for you right now. Continue to be highly attentive of the breath. Switch directions when you're ready. And then come into Apanasana. One more breath in Apanasana, then release to Shavasana. Giving yourself whatever you feel is desirable or necessary. Whatever you want and need. Wiggle, fidget, adjust. Cover yourself up with a blanket if you like. Drape your thighs over a bolster. Soften the muscles in the face, particularly across the forehead and eyebrows and around the eyes. Unclench the jaw. Let the lower jaw release heavily down toward the earth. Release the tongue from the roof of the mouth and let it settle between the bottom teeth. And maybe the lips will part slightly. Release any holding across the collarbones and shoulders, down the arms into the hands and the fingers. Relax through the chest and the belly. Soften through the pelvis, the hips, the thighs, the knees, the lower legs. Ankles and feet. Release any holding in the back body, buttocks, the sacrum, the back space of the heart, shoulders, neck, and head. Soften the whole body. Releasing tension from the whole body. The whole body sinks just a bit more heavily into the support of the earth. Draw awareness into the space of the belly and just hold awareness here gently. Observe the subtlety of the breath. Invite the breath to grow increasingly subtle. Invite the eyes to sink a bit more heavily into the skull. Draw more inward to the very center of your being. And rest there. Bring your awareness back to the breath, as well as the pauses between. Aware that the next destination is a seated position. Choose step by step how you wish to arrive there, taking your time. And as you continue this transition to a seated position, remain attentive of the breath, the pauses, all that is present. And approach your seated position with the intention to align yourself physically with who you intend to be. Perhaps starting with how you intend to breathe. Release unnecessary tension in the space of the belly. And bring awareness to the flow of breath in and out through the nostrils. At the opening of the nostrils, yes, but also further up, as though the breath is traveling through the nostrils all the way to the soft palate, and then back down and out again. If you have a hard time locating the soft palate, invite a little yawn into the body. And where the breath goes on inhale, as you yawn, that's what we're aiming for. Smooth and steady, in and out through the nostrils. To the soft palate and back out again. Breath is diaphragmatic, smooth and steady. Iron out now the pauses or the gaps between the breath, and rather than the breath actually stopping, slow the transition down. The breath stays continuous, But the transition from inhale to exhale is slow and fluid, as well as the transition from exhale to inhale. The transition at the top of the breath happening by the soft palate, and the transition after exhale back to inhale is happening somewhere out in front of the face. Watch the transition in slow motion. A little less effort for a few more breaths. Bring awareness now to that area just above the soft palate, a space known as the Talu chakra, kind of like the back door of Agya chakra, a space that gives us greater access to the light of discernment, heightens our power to see clearly, to discriminate real from unreal, aligned, misaligned, truth from untruth. As well as our power to choose, to decide. Rest awareness here, spacious, calm and clear. Maybe tuning the inward ear to the silent sound of pranava, Om. Just one more minute to bask in this light and absorb the power of renewal. And return to the physical component of the breath, deepening the breath a bit. Reintegrating breath, body, mind, soul. If you'd like, bring the hands together at the heart center. Bow the head for a moment. Acknowledge the inner teacher, the inner guide, your inner source of clear seeing, wisdom, and the power to choose, to decide. Remind yourself that though you may have little control over what happens externally, you do have complete control over how it impacts you, particularly in the long term. By choosing consciously how you receive and choosing how you actively respond. And to practice that power of choice, if you want to, you can bring your thumbs up toward the forehead center, connecting to Agya Chakra and the power of discernment. Feel free to repeat after me. I choose trust. Bring the thumbs toward the lips and the throat. I choose truth. And to your heart. I choose love. Rub the palms together. Place the palms over the eyes or anywhere else that you choose for another breath or two. Blink the eyes open when you're ready and transition back out to the world. And I'll just leave you with a couple of reflection questions and let you sit with them and do with them what you will. Who do you choose to be? Who do you choose to be? In essence, who do you know in your heart that you are? The very highest expression of your humanity. And then what resolve can you make to align your choices day by day accordingly, so that your daily choices create the life that you choose. Your daily choices add up to the person that you've chosen to be. And what I mean by that resolve is, can you articulate it in a sentence or less? This is how I navigate life. This is how I choose to show up, interact, and engage. So, for example, something that has fortified me for the last decade or so. I choose trust. I choose truth. I choose love. That brings it out in me. What brings it out in you? I will leave you to it. If you come to anything and you want to run it by me or share it with the group, feel free to pop it into the chat or just send it to me individually. I'm happy to give you my feedback and encourage you and maybe push you to be even more audacious or clear or something. So if I can support you in any way, use me. All right. So much love for each of you. Thank you very much for being here. And see you soon.
Thank you.
You're
Have a nice
welcome.
evening.
You as well. You're very welcome. Take care of yourself, Nicole.